Alrighty, let's get things going here. Hello there, I'm EnviroBoy. This is my channel. It is, what day is it today? It's Tuesday. Yeah, that's the one. It's Tuesday, the day after Valentine's Day. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful Valentine's Day. And if not, I'm sorry. But hopefully the next one will be better. I don't know. I don't even know why I brought it up. Anyway, it's Tuesday. We're gonna do some writing here to kick off the day. Say hopefully everyone's having a good day. My day's going pretty good myself. Nice chill Tuesday morning so far, and the kind of person who always strives to have the most relaxed and uneventful like days possible. You know, I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong, exciting fun things are great and all, but a lot of times, especially if you're the kind of person like me who plans out his day, including sort of planning chunks of time to do fun, exciting things with his time, then if things aren't going according to plan, if things are getting weird and wild and crazy, then usually that means something bad's going on. So I like a nice quiet morning to start my days off. So I have enjoyed my morning, and I wish that upon everyone else out there. But at any rate, as I say, it's Tuesday, it's time to write. We're going to work on some lore type writing and stuff here, so let me bring us to our live scene. Whoosh. Also, just as a note, anyone keeping score ought to be proud of me. This is like the first time in, I think, maybe like a week that I started the stream and remembered to have my camera on this time. So like, you know, apparently I am capable of learning. Even if it takes a few tries for me to catch on to even the simplest of things. But at any rate, yeah, we're gonna do some. So today is Tuesdays, as always, are lore creation days, where we kind of just sit here and we work on some of the background information that like we don't necessarily have time to work on when we're trying to get through and actually like build our campaign. But it's the type of stuff that will enrich a world and just sort of create a sense of history and realness and immersion for our players that isn't necessary when it comes to mechanically playing a game, but can really make a big difference in how the world feels and how much fun it is to explore that world. So that's kind of the basic principle of doing these lore-based days. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I sat down here and I wasn't quite sure exactly what I wanted to do with today's lore building session. So I thought we'd just kind of scan through some of the things that we've already put in our campaign, because I want to try and keep them relevant to the campaign. As much as I love creating all kinds of lore for all kinds of different places within my world, the smartest thing to do always is to have them focused on whatever project I'm working on. And so since we're working on this big long campaign, it would make a whole lot of sense for us to be sort of keeping in line with what we've been working on. So that way it's like everything we produce can be, you know, brought back and given to players. So what I thought I'd do, since I didn't have anything particular in mind, I mean, we've kind of spent the last few sessions working on lore for the parts of the camera's shaking a little bit. My kitty is scratching and it's shaking the whole desk the way she's sitting while doing it. You good there? Anyway, sorry. I get very distracted with my cat. I'm willing to admit that I might be just a little bit obsessed. So, you know, it tends to happen that she does literally anything. She literally just exists near me and I get excited and distracted by it. But anyway, so we've kind of established what we need as far as lore goes, for leading into our next section that we'll be working on once we're done with the current part of the campaign. We're almost done with chapter 5 of our campaign, so I've kind of already, there goes her tail, she's now gonna go hunt the birds. And when I say hunt the birds, I mean stare out the window longingly. But we've established the lore that we need for moving forward in our campaign. So I thought maybe what we could do is just kind of start by going back into some of the stuff that we've already written and looking at anything that's in there and seeing what we could maybe do to enrich those parts of the world, if in case there's anything that I've kind of overseen or overlooked, because, and I think there's likely to be quite a bit, because we have the devoted sessions to writing this lore is kind of a new thing for my streams. It's something new that I started about a month and a half ago. So we've really only had like 6 lore streams. So I thought it would be a good idea to maybe start enriching parts of the world and parts of the campaign we've already finished. And I feel like the best way to kind of do that is to just like start in our headers and just kind of start working our way down into all of the places that we've created for this campaign, and then look and see if there's any gaps or any room to add some more interesting history and detail. So, to start, I think we can just kind of do our overview thing. The first thing that we've got here is I have for the longest time neglected to create a title for this campaign that we're working on. And I think that it's easy to just sort of hem and haw over trying to get the perfect title. But I think that also falls under the category of analysis paralysis, like I do all the time, or like I talk about all the time, where it's like if you try to have the perfect thing the first time, you'll just never get anything down at all. And so it's better to just write down whatever weird, nonsensical thing you can think of, and then call it good for the time being, knowing you can always go back and edit it. So I'm going to do that, and then just assume that if I come up with a better title, you know, I could just go back and edit it, and that's not even really an assumption. That's just like how it works. And so I guess the more so the assumption is assuming that if there is a better title, I will think of it eventually as we're going down. But I'm just going to title this one. I'm going to keep the title for this campaign topical, and we're just going to say so it's like it's Q5 here, and we're just going to say Q5 the Hall of Wisdom, because ultimately that's sort of like the penultimate thing for our players to do. They're trying to gain access into this Hall of Wisdom, and that's going to kind of be the final stage of all of this, is them getting in there and dealing with this Hall of Wisdom that's part of it. So we can just kind of do that to immediately fill things up, and so starting from there, I want to check that. So we haven't. So the first things first, we have not done anything for our quick list here. So for cities, we're going to say Novo, Troy, Chladni, Chladni. There it is. So we've got that, and I'm going to include in this these cities, the Nikos tribe and the Kagdaral here, because these are like when I say cities, as opposed to anything else, a city is meant to be a place that, at the very least, has potential to be a welcoming, friendly place that our players can do commerce in, as opposed to just a location that is nothing but dangers, right? So I'm gonna put in Kagdaral here. Kagdaral. There we go. We're gonna put Kagdaral in there. Even though it's likely that there will be some hostility there. I was mixing the word hostility and hospitality. Hostility. But hostility. There's a lot of potential for hostility to happen there. But there's also a lot of room for players to take a diplomatic approach to that place. So I'm going to go ahead and add it there, because the other thing about it too is it's not serving as a dungeon, right? And that's kind of the key distinction. It's not serving as a dungeon that will have like rooms with treasures to loot and monsters to kill, right? Kagdaral is intended to have some shops and stuff that can be enjoyed and used by the players. So So we're gonna add that one there, and we may add other things here like Ashran Nalor and stuff like that, but we'll see about that when we get there. But we can just kind of take some time to update all of this. As far as the adventures and dungeons go, we can have the let's see, I called this beginning cave, but I kind of want to title that something different here, because it's kind of like, it's more like chapter 1. So I want to do what do I want to call this one? We're just gonna call it Little Cave. Little Cave. That's all it is, because it's really all it is, right? Chapter 1 is just them exploring a little cave that was part of their ongoing efforts to build this road. That is a part of, like, that's the whole opening scene to our campaign that we're working on here. So get that going here. And I don't know that we need to do anything else. Hey, Kisa, how's it going? Good to see you here. I don't know that we need to make any other edits necessarily to here. But I do want to take us back to our main, to our main thing right here, so that we can do, so adventures / dungeons. We'll do a chapter. Actually, you know what we'll do? We're going to just do, no, I want to make these numbers. Oh, like make them numbers. Gosh darn it! Hold on. No, I don't want bullets. I want numbers. It's not gonna let me. It's not gonna let me. All right, fine. We'll just do bullets then, and we'll just write out chapter 1. Because OneNote, I as a baseline really enjoy using OneNote for all of my projects and all of my writing stuff when it comes to world building, because it really makes a nice, neat place to go find all of the organizational tools. Top notch. The word editing tools in here, disappointing, considering it's the exact same company that gives us Microsoft Word, which is one of the most powerful word editing systems there is, and yet somehow they can't seem to figure out how to just incorporate all of the things that Microsoft Word has into it. So I don't know. Add it to the list of things that would be better if I were in charge of the world, right? So we'll just go ahead and do Little Cave. And actually, you know what we can do here? You know what we can do? I'm going to copy a link to page. I think this is really the smarter way to do this here. I'll paste that. So we can do Novotrikladny as the city. So that way we can, talking about all of the powerful link production options and stuff that this program offers, and like the organizational stuff, is we can really take advantage of the fact that we can link within our document here, and it really is a powerful and handy. Well, I guess I shouldn't say powerful. It's not all that complicated, but it's just really handy. It's a really handy way to make it even easier for us as the DM looking through our notes that we have here, to sort of navigate our own stuff, so that way we can actually kind of move between areas and handle things in as smooth a way as possible, particularly when we're in the middle of a session. Because that's always, for me, one of the most jarring things is when we're in the middle of a session, and I'm in the zone, I'm managing everything, and then everything has to come to a screeching halt because I have to search for stuff. And that's like the one thing, as much as I love all of the physical books that you can get for pretty much any tabletop RPG, it's why functionally I really use digital resources much more often, because you're able to search for things, actively just do a control find function. It's just so much quicker and easier in general. And then added on top of that, the fact that we can sit here and we can just do links. So it's like, oh yeah, I know we're on this section. Click, there we are. It's like, okay, how do you beat that, right? Like how do you top that? You just can't. It's the most convenient thing in the freaking world. So that's my 2 cents. Not that anyone wanted it. Although I guess I should assume that you do want it. That's like why you're here watching this, right? I don't know. Yeah, but you're just here to watch all the things that I do and be like, wow, that's wrong. I'm not going to do that. Which is totally understandable, and I 100% accept that criticism too. Okay, so there we go. So there's our little table of contents kind of filled out there, since we're just going to take some time here to really to really kind of fill out and flesh out some lore and stuff like that. Hey, Wiggle Lover, how's it going? Good to see you here. So let's see. Okay, so let's look at let's kind of assess what we've written way long ago. I mean, like, it's definitely time to be going back here and reassessing the stuff we've written so far for this campaign, because we started this campaign like last summer. We've been working on this project for a long time, and we've kind of slowly built up a much clearer picture of what we're creating and what we're trying to accomplish with this. So it stands to reason that a handful, at least a certain degree, a certain amount of stuff that we've produced here is going to need some tweaking to make it sort of fit, right? So we're going to go ahead and look at all this stuff here, and we can work on that, and anything that needs more fleshing out, we can start working on that, and anything that needs cleaning up, we can do that too. Right, so prior to the unhinging, this region served as a sort of crossroads between multiple different races from multiple different walks of life, between the Leonins, the Goldenwind Plains, the dwarves, and the gnomes of the High Doom Mountains, and the elves of the Siski Forest. Culture within this area always reflected great diversity. Trade was strong, and many adventurers would visit the area for the chance to see cultures of all sorts, past and present. That makes sense. If we can actually, you know what I'll do? Let me pull up our world map here, so we can kind of get a good image of what the heck we're talking about here. Pull up the world map, and maybe we can even pull up our region map as well. Get those things pulled up here so we can take a look-see at what the heck it is I'm talking about. Let's just close out that one. We don't need that one. So here's our world map, and here's our region map, right? So our world map, for context, we're working right here in this hex, from this whole big booty world here. We're working specifically within this hex. That's where this campaign takes place. And then if we look at our region here, right, so we've got the Siski Forest up here, we've got the High Doom Mountains, we've got the Goldenwind Plains. And so that's kind of what it's getting at. It's like this area, oh, thank you, Wiggle Lover, I appreciate that. It's the culmination of many years of obsessive adding and editing to a single fantasy world. And it's a testament to the fact that I get bored and have a lot of free time sometimes. But yeah, so it takes place in this region. And so we've got all these areas that would have dwarven and gnomish populations and societies right here. We had the Goldenwind Plains that within this world of mine was home to like the Leonin people. And then we also have the Siski Forest up here, which was home to a lot of like elvish people. And so this whole area in general was like, it's almost like it was a medieval version of like a tourist location, because you could just like go here and see all kinds of different cultures and stuff. Hey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Glad you're having a good time. But it was this area that was, you know, before the apocalypse that my world is kind of focused on. Before all of that, it was just an area where someone could go and experience a whole lot of different bits and pieces of this world and the people within it. And so putting that in there, I think that still stands. I don't think we need to change anything about that. But when the unhinging happened, this marriage of many cultures and creatures was the region's undoing. Creatures of unimaginable horror of all different types came to be over the course of a single day. Creatures flooded the valley from the forest and the mountains. Horror mutations of innocent plains creatures found new homes in the dwarven tunnels and elven tree villages along with the rest of the world. Any ability to survive vanished from the region. And I think that still holds true. As we've described our world, right? That's still basically the premise. I mean, that's something that's probably not going to change in any parts of my world. I've worked on this for so long that it's pretty well established that the unhinging was like a magical version of a nuclear bomb being let off all across the world, like, or rather multiple of them being let off all across all kinds of different other places around the world, you know, resulting in all these different rips and tears within reality between, you know, the material plane and all of the other ethereal elemental planes and all that stuff. So it just kind of turned into it was the singular event where all this like horrible magical radiation and magical events just kind of all of a sudden ripped the world asunder and just resulted in like, you know, elemental creatures flooding into the material plane and the ethereal plane. You know, creatures, demonic creatures from the nine hells found their way through different rips and tears. The radiation from all the magic that caused these tears caused existing creatures in all planes to just sort of be mutated and turned into these horrible, weird things. And it's like, that's my world's explanation for all of the like horrible things that exist within just like fantasy lore in general. That's sort of like the catch-all explanation for it. And so I think that that's going to pretty much always hold true. I don't know that that's ever going to require a whole lot of editing unless we want to like specifically change things as they pertain to a specific campaign that we're working on, or a specific project, a specific region, what have you. So I think that's good to go. The next paragraph. Today, the area has quieted from the past ways of constant territorial strife between the monsters of the land. Territories have been established, and the kings have peace in their respective kingdoms. As the world slowly heals from the unhinging, more opportunities for reclamation present themselves. Though far from safe, the region has pockets of hope as much as it has pockets of horror. And I think that stands as well. I mean, that kind of covers our general existence of our city of Nova Triclodny here, which is sort of the outpost city that's been put in place by the people trying to establish this new trade route running from our bigger picture, running from the protected city of Fossvik all the way down to the protected city of Muffafetting. So I think all that stands. I don't think we need to worry about the lore or history as far as that is established for us there. I think that still holds true. I think that's solid, good stuff. So the current ownership, this area is still largely beholden to the ways of the wilds. An effort is being made to establish a new trade route between Fossvik and Muffafetting. However, this excursion is slow and deliberate as the spearhead works slowly to find the safest route between monsters and tears alike. This village of Nova Triclodny is a very diverse place. Dwarves, elven, gnomes, and even Leonins make up equal portions of the populations. As well as all of these races have nearby ancestral homes, they wish to try to reclaim the trade route, as the trade route is slowly built. I am going to edit this a little bit just because as things have gone, the emphasis has been a little different just in terms of the sort of the sort of population composition within this city. We've kind of changed it so that it's primarily a dwarven and human endeavor, just because of the direction that it's going, right? Because we have our city here, and it was known they were going along here, so it was mostly, excuse me, it was mostly dwarves wanting to reclaim Cogdural, as well as humans wanting to establish the trade route, because, if we go to our world map here, Fossvik was a primarily human city. So humans are kind of spearheading this effort to go from Fossvik down to Muffafetting, right? And then the dwarves are using this opportunity, since the pathway is going right across the mountains there. They're going to be wanting to use that convenient locational fact that they're going by there as a chance to, like, once this whole project is done, they can then try to return to reclaiming their lost lands, is the idea here. So and beyond that, elves are less concerned. Elves would be more interested, like the way I've kind of come to understand this area, elves would be more interested in perhaps working from Yusnoi up here to try and reclaim parts of the Siski Forest that they lost in the unhinging. And the Leonins, as I've sort of established it, I've sort of changed their history within this world, so such that they never really left the Golden Wind Plains. Like, some of them probably would have fled when it all happened, but for the most part, they actually kind of stayed there because they were still a very tribal race. that sort of lived life as quote unquote warriors trying to protect their small villages anyway. So from their perspective, though the monsters changed, the way of life didn't, and so they sort of stayed put. And so within this effort to build this road, and as we see it in Nova Triclodny, where our players interact with a lot of stuff, because that's their like home base city within this campaign, there just won't be many of the Leonins. So we're gonna change this a little bit. I'm gonna alter this a little bit for the sake of our lore here. So this village of Nova Triclodny is we're gonna change that to relatively diverse place. Relatively diverse place. We'll say primarily populated by humans. We'll say primary race found in Fosvik, which is spearheading this path building endeavor. Hey Gabby, how's it going? I'm doing well. Hopefully you are doing well as well. Glad to see you here. Let's see. The primary race found in Fosvik, which is spearheading this path building endeavor. That's humans. Primarily populated by humans and dwarves. Many taking part in this effort in order to one day be close to Kag. Wait, hold on. Where is it? KHA. There it is. Kagdaral. Taking part in this effort in order to one day be close to Kagdaral for an eventual attempt to reclaim it. So, okay, and then this is a really complicated sentence that is not going to roll off the tongue, but that's okay. It's providing the information that we need, and we'll call it good because of that. Let's see here. So, primarily populated by humans and dwarves. One second. Humans and dwarves. There are other races represented as well, but in smaller populations. Leonins, we'll say Leonins, gnomes, and elves alike all have a representation, just representation, whatever, within the city, though, you know, we don't need to add any qualifiers to that. We can just say it like that. That's fine. It gets the point across and gets us what we're trying to achieve here. So that's good. That's good. Okay. This area is still largely beholden to the ways of the wilds, and effort is being made to establish a new trade route between Fosvik and Muffetting. However, this excursion is slow and deliberate as spearhead. Okay, yeah, I think that's all good. I think that's good there. I think we've established that. I don't know that I see anything that necessarily needs a whole lot of more in-depth exploration and creative writing quite yet. But we'll see. I mean, we're already this is already really helpful. We're already making some good edits to help sort of unify and clarify everything we're working on. It's a valuable thing to go back and take the time to edit, especially when we consider the sort of importance of the methodology, like I'm always talking about, where like you don't want to sit there and try to get it exactly right the first time. You want to just write stuff down knowing you can edit it later. For that to work, you have to take time to go back and edit at least every once in a while. So that's so it's good we're making the time to do this. Safe travel recommendations. I'm doubtful that we'll need to make any changes here, but we will. if necessary. We'll still go through it. The safest place in this region is by far the Golden Wind Plains. Certainly the plains are filled with dangers, both sentient and inanimate, but the nature of the plains being such that one can see along the flat land for miles, it is easy to see dangers before you encounter them. Simple survival knowledge and equipment is likely enough, so long as adventurers are attentive and careful during travel. Simple enough. I think that still remains perfectly accurate with how we're writing this. That's great. Haidu Mountains and Siski Forest are different stories. The abandoned dwarven tunnels of the mountains are now home to countless nasty creatures. Many of these creatures hold connection to the hells, finding themselves gravitating toward the dark and enclosed tunnels that remind them of home. Even the mountain exteriors are home to many creatures of flying or giant persuasions. The only saving grace of the mountains are the Aarakocra tribes that live among the peaks and ensure no creature too violent or clever leaves the tunnels without good reason. I like that from a lore standpoint, but I'm questioning whether I want to bother putting it in here because we are really not featuring any Aarakocra within our campaign. We've taken different directions, and so I just don't know that there's a necessity to have them mentioned in here. Maybe we can, I mean, we could always qualify and describe like where within the mountains they are and sort of explain why we don't interact with them. But I'm wondering if just for the sake of brevity, whether or not like it would be necessary to even bother with that at all. Let me see here. Okay, hold on. Let me see here. It looks like I am dropping frames like, well, not super crazy, but more than I'd prefer to be, and I can't quite figure out why. I mean, everything looks like it's supposed to be operating properly, and it looks like we've calmed down now. Okay, well, hopefully everything continues to be smooth. I'm just gonna plow on ahead and hope that it's not a major issue. Fingers crossed. I don't know. I'm not. Does it look fine? Okay. All right. I appreciate the feedback. Yeah. I don't know. It's not a massive amount, but I am dropping. According to my system, I'm dropping some frames, but it might just I don't know. It might just be something weird going on with my network and the feedback my computer's getting from the router. I don't know what the issue is. It usually relates to my to my VPN, but who knows? Hey, Demon King Dragon the Second, or Demon King Dragon 2. I guess I don't know what you prefer, but either way, I appreciate the follow and I appreciate you having a good time here. Glad you're here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not part of Geek Squad. I don't know what's going on. Of course, if I really felt like ripping a zinger here, I could say I'm not part of Geek Squad. But then again, they don't know what's going on either. Hello. You guys came here for my tight five, right? This is actually me practicing my stand-up routine. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's talk about airline food now. Waka waka and all that. No, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and stop obsessing over it. Where am I from? I am from the United States, which is probably pretty obvious given my lack of fun, cool, interesting accents. I live in Michigan, which is also one of the least accented parts of America as far as fun American accents go. But yeah, I'm from the state of Michigan, and yeah, it's wonderful and very, very cold here, and you know, it's just what it is. It's a place to live. Oh boy. All right, let's see here. Okay, what the hell was I working on? Oh yeah, we were talking about the Aarakocra people, and I was trying to decide whether or not I cared enough to like brute force mentioning them here. I mean, I think for the sake of world building and lore, I like them mentioned here. But I don't know. I feel like I want to sort of write a little bit of detail about why they're not there, just so that we want to come back. I don't, because like I'm not presently running this campaign as we're writing it. I have players that like to watch my stream from time to time, and so I don't want to accidentally toss them any spoilers. So I don't want to. I don't want to like overburden myself with too much information when if I ever come back and and do end up playing this one, but I do want to make sure that I'm like keeping my world rich so that I kind of am reminded of what I was working on. Because the other thing that's really important about it too, from the perspective of how to write all this stuff and fill it all up, you know, and create a world that means something to me when I'm trying to run it, is like this is a world building effort, and the way I write my campaigns is they are all meant to be like cohesive in a way that allows for any of them to reference each other and maintain accuracy, and I do that a lot because like when I write a campaign, I tend to write it so that it runs from a certain level range. Like I like to write my campaigns ahead of time. I like to have a planned out story, a planned out set of missions that players can go. Like I'm not a DM who is 100% reactionary and says like, oh, well, they wanted to do this thing, so I guess I'll create a dungeon that allows them to do this. It's like I provide them a story and hooks, and then I'll make modifications as like their interests or the way they're solving problems kind of guides how it's done. Like we can certainly do plenty of changes, but my preferred approach is to have it all planned out ahead of time. And a lot of that is so that way if they wanted to change direction with anything, I could just like run them in, you know, run them towards a different area within the world. You know, or if they finish this campaign and want to keep going with their same characters, we can run them into the next campaign, just you know, a nice smooth handoff into it. So the more information we give, even if it's not necessarily directly relevant to this campaign, the easier it is to remember and understand what's happening within that region. So that way, as we're writing other regions and we're bouncing between them for the sake of campaigns, we can have an easy enough time just sort of, you know, bouncing between the two and keeping a cohesive story that can be followed by the players who are like, at least by the ones who are paying attention, is sort of the goal here. So with that in mind, I think what I'm going to do, so the only saving grace of these mountains are the Aarakocra tribes that live among the peaks and ensure no creature too violent or clever leaves the tunnels without good reason. So I'm going to get rid of this sentence, and instead I'm going to offer up a qualifier about things. And we're going to say, however, these Aarakocran people live primarily, there it is, in more southern stretches of the mountains where dangers tend to be more pervasive. We'll say, we'll just leave it at that. Many countless nasty creatures, including, actually we're going to say including the Duergar. That's meant to be a secret from players, but this is all just notes that's like more about prepping the DM for the region, the area that we're working on. So I'm thinking we can go ahead and add them in here, and maybe what we'll do is do a parentheses, including the Duergar, though we'll say though the rest of the world is unaware of their presence, and we'll just do that there. So that way it's like we kind of are offering that little bit of detail, like, oi, don't spill the beans on this one, you know, but that is a thing. So many of these creatures hold connection to the hells, finding themselves gravitating toward the dark and enclosed tunnels. Yeah, there we go. Where dangers tend to be more pervasive. Though they are a malevolent people themselves, the nature of the Duergar presence means that they hold dominion over this region of the mountains, and do a and keep the tunnels clear of too many monsters for their own safety. So it's like, just to like add that detail, the reason why the Aarakocra are not very present in these northern parts is because of those Duergar. And it's not that the Duergar are particularly, you know, are in any sort of particular cooperation with the Aarakocra. It's just more that they have their own safety to mind. And so in order to do that, they keep the monsters at bay, which then means there just aren't monsters to escape from these areas that the Duergar are in. So the Aarakocra, though they don't know that the Duergar are down there, just know that there do not seem to be a whole lot of monsters there, so they bring their people elsewhere. So we can just leave it at that, and not worry about adding too much more detail, because, as I say, the Aarakocra just are not part of this campaign, and there's no need for us to overburden what we're working on here with too much excess. So we can do that, and I think that's good. So then the next one, the Siski Forest is not a hike for the lighthearted. Fey creatures and mortal creatures warped by the magics of the Fey realms have made their homes among the trees, finding the dark and mysterious woods to be a comfort among this strange mortal world. While many of these creatures are content to leave alone those who leave them alone, just as many would be eager for the chance to kill an innocent traveler for a number of reasons. Travelers would do best to stick to the highway that runs through the forest, but those wishing to delve in among the trees may wish to consider hiring an elven guide, as they would be best suited for navigating a safe bath. I do like my baths to be safe, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. So we're gonna edit that one just a smidge, just a little bit. That's goofy. All right. Let's see here. Safe path through the foreboding woods. Okay. We'll say let's see. There's one thing. Many of those creatures are content to leave alone those who leave them alone. Just as many would be eager. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out, because I want to make mention of the fact that we have the Drow that are present in there. And again, it's the same situation as the Duergar, where they're not really all that heavily featured. From a world knowledge standpoint, right? People don't really know that the Drow are there, but the Drow are there, and so that's meant to be a secret from players. But for the sake of the DM, you know, for the sake of me, when I'm reading this in the future and don't remember what the heck I was working on, I want to make a note of that, so that way I can sort of have that reminder in there. Because knowing that can impact how you roleplay and improvise various factors within any given session, right? If players decide to kind of go off script, you want to be, that's part of the reason why adding all this lore is good, because even if it's not like primarily featured, it gives us a starting point, and it gives us a sort of guideline to follow if we have to improvise things, because players are kind of going rogue, but we want to allow them to, right? I mean, this is a freeform game. That's the point of D&D. So we want them to have the freedom to go rogue, at least to an extent, as long as they don't completely ignore and abandon the mission that you provided for them, which is, I mean, you know, players can do that, although I find most good players will recognize that, like, hey, we are playing a game, and it does take a lot of work to get these things prepped, so maybe it's okay for us to be railroaded just a bit. But yeah, we can add some details here that make it easier for us to just improvise all that kind of stuff. So what we'll say here, Fey creatures, mortal creatures, warped by the magics of the Fey realms, and we'll just go ahead and say, such as the Drow. We'll just do that. Have made their homes, because that's what the Drow are. They're elves that were warped by the magic and turned into the Drow. I mean, it's the same with the Duergar. They were normal dwarves and or elves that, not and or, just like normal dwarves and elves that were caught in these areas of high like magical radiation, as I describe it, and were then sort of forced to change by this magic, and that's where we have them. So I think that's good. I don't think we need to remove or really change anything. I just wanted to add that little note there. I think that's good. So magic and oddities. Within the planes, there's a comparatively little in the way of magical dangers when placed next to the list of creature dangers that exist. The odd tear still exists here and there, but most are visible from far off and avoidable. The mountains, however, have served as a sort of stewing pot for the magical oddities that appeared during the unhinging. Tears filled the ancient dwarven hallways, often leaving few, if any, alternative routes through. The forest is filled with magics of all schools due to the concentration of fey creatures on all around the world. That sentence doesn't make sense. So this forest is filled with magics of all schools due to the concentration of fey creatures. We're just going to say within it. I don't know what I was going for there, but it doesn't really make sense upon rereading it, so we're just going to change that within it. Magical auras simply radiate from the trees and can impact travelers in unimaginable ways as they wander among the flora and fauna of the woods. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's perfectly acceptable. No need to worry about that beyond anything else, so we're good there. Wandering encounters, I don't think we need to change anything about these. We've got these already established. These are a lot of work to come up with. There's no need for us to worry about that. And campaign, all of this stuff is just notes for going on. So that all is good. I think what we've got there is good. Let me see here. Oh man, it looks like I'm still struggling with dropped frames. I really hope the quality is okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why the internet is being so goofy and wonky today. I usually don't have this big of an issue. Weird. Might have to mess around with that a little bit during the break when we switch between writing and gaming today. But I don't know. My apologies. I really hope it's good quality for everyone. If it's not, I apologize. I mean, I don't know what I'd be able to do about it, so here we are. All right. Okay, so we've got all of that in order. That looks good. So here already we've got a few things that we might be able to make some changes to when we're talking about lore. So we have our city here, right? This is this is the city that has been established as sort of like a midway point for this endeavor that is being undertaken, and we've largely made some details, and I'm thinking most of the details of this stuff, these places, are things that can stay as they are, because it's primarily related to shops that we put there, and we just kind of put those details there for the sake of entertaining players and giving them the fun chance to do shopping with unique band of characters that'll show up and be just wild and wacky for them. So I don't know that we're going to need to make many edits to this area, but we'll take a look at it in general. We can just delete that. That's just there as like a reminder to myself about what type of stuff to put. No need for that. So setting, history. Novator Chladni was established by the expedition crew focused on establishing the golden trade route. As the distance between the expedition and the flag city of Phosphik grew, it became more and more difficult for caravans to reliably provide the crew with resources needed, as the number of supply runs grew with each passing week. So the solution was to build a settlement that could grow and produce whatever resources this expedition crew would need, and take that burden off the shoulders of Phosphik here. Just make sure we're not dropping letters for our own cities that we've made up. Establishing the city was not the easiest task, however. In order to encourage enough people, no fewer than 500, to partake in this adventure, the king of Phosphik offered promises of familial wealth that, though it would mean little within the borders of this new city born from nothing, should any one of these familial lines for the next few generations return to Phosphik, they would find themselves financially among the wealthy elite. Additionally, the pioneer citizens of this new outpost city would be gifted a minimum amount of land that would far exceed what one might expect to find within the walls of Phosphik. To many, the promise of wealth and rent-free land with which to build their fortunes further was enough to offset inherent dangers of the move. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's good explanation, and I think it's good enough for the sake of what we're trying to achieve here. Man, oh man, yeah, my stream is really struggling today. I just don't know. I don't really understand why it's being so funky here. This is gonna bother me. It's clearly bothering and distracting me. I don't know what the deal is with it. I think it looks like it's a network issue here. I don't know why my network is being difficult today. There doesn't seem to be a consistent, clear reason why it's doing this. So it may just require like a reset at some point in time. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, because like it'll be fine, but then we drop a handful of frames and then it's fine, and then we drop. So I don't know. I might mess with it during the break here. But at any rate, I think that that's all good. I think that's good history. I think that's good lore for the city. I think it fits in well. I don't think we need to worry about that too much. The city was established first as a small tent city, but soon growing into a sprawling, if simple, farming community. Through joint efforts and occasional trade caravans running between Novotrikladny and Phosphik, the city has slowly grown into a functional community with options for every necessity in life and most creature comforts as well. The people are hardened by the constant threat of monsters and other dangers that exist in the wilds, but they still express a sense of solidarity and community with each other and any brave enough to serve as participants in the expedition crew itself or within the infrequent caravans running between the expedition, the village itself, and the larger city up north. I think that's good. I don't see anything that really needs a whole lot of change there. Demographics, because we've edited that a little bit, we might need to change that up a little bit again, but let's see here. Novotrikladny is primarily dominated by human and dwarf populations. Large human population is an expected result of the large human population in Phosphik, given its history as a primarily human settlement. The large dwarven population is a bit more interesting, however. Many among the dwarven population of Phosphik understood the opportunity inherent in establishing a new city in the foothills of the High Doom, the High Doom Mountains. Having grown up listening to tales passed down through the generations of the glory to the Dwarven Kingdom in the mountain halls, many among the many among the dwarves saw this as an opportunity to one day reclaim their ancestral home. To them, service as founders of Novotrikladny in aid of the expedition efforts is a small price to pay for the chance to one day strike out and reclaim the mountains that they heard such magical stories about. I'm just going to change that they have heard such magical stories about. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's good, and that's actually spot on, and that was actually that bit of history that we have in there that's already been included is exactly why I wanted to make the edits to the other thing at large and just kind of have it going there. So I think that is good. Yeah, I think that's excellent. I think all that stuff is good. And then I see we have a little bit here that we might be able to kind of explore and have some fun adding some detail to Samuel here next. But first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. I'm going to run to the bathroom and refill my beverage here. And I'm also probably going to just take a second to mess around a little bit with my network and see if I can get this to stop dropping frames like it's doing. I mean, I'm dropping like 4% of them, which isn't horrible, but I'd really prefer to not be having that issue. So I'm going to, like I say, I'm going to take a quick break. You might see a small blip in the stream. Like it might cut out for a second if I have to reset my network or something like that. If that happens, I promise I'm coming back. I'm not ending the stream right now. I'm just messing around with it because I'm a perfectionist and I hate when I'm just like randomly dropping frames for no reason. So like I say, I'm going to take a quick break. Sit tight. I will be right back shortly, and we will be off and running hopefully very swiftly after I return. So I appreciate your patience. Alright, I am back, but I can also see that I am still dropping frames. So I'm going to try just doing one little tweak with my network here really quickly to see if that fixes it. It may cause a blip in the stream. Like I say, I'm not ending the stream right now. But it's bothering me, and so I'm gonna try and fix it. So give me 1 second here. Let me see if I can get something